Chapter 98. Telling Stories, Proving Sheng. While facing Meng Tai, Luan's face was in a state of shock, fearing that Meng Tai's sword would chop him in two if he wasn't careful. Rumble, ang, ang. Outside, the roaring sounds of the group of dragons came. It's Aoshan, they're here. Prince Aoshan, they're here. Great. Luan was however suddenly excited. Meng Tai's eyes narrowed slightly, and the long sword in his hand suddenly cut open Luan's clothes. I won't shout, Luan said in shock. Meng Tai faintly said. Your name is Meng Tai. Aoshan is here with the group of dragons. The Great Han dynasty is definitely finished. If you let me go, I'll recommend you to my grandfather. I'll make sure you're in a high position of power. As long as you can save me, I'll repay you heavily, Luan carefully said. Do you think that Aoshan can still walk out alive? Meng Tai sneered. It's impossible. You guys can't be Aoshan's opponents, Luan said with an ugly face. Meng Tai revealed a disdainful smile and did not explain. Impossible. If Mr. Mo is really a spy, this time he is deliberately letting us act as bait to lure out the Aoshan group of dragons and then wipe out the group of dragons in one fell swoop. Then there's only one possibility. It's the great Jin sage who sent strong men here to keep watch, Luan announced. Sure enough, after a burst of noise from the outside world, steeply, Aosheng's voice came. Buzz. Luan had a steep jolt and his head roared. Aosheng, that's right. I met Aosheng with my grandfather last time. This is Aosheng's voice. It's true. Everything is true. Luan affirmed the conjecture in his heart with horror. Because Aosheng had come, that's why Meng Tai wasn't afraid. Mermo is a spy. It's true. Everything was true. Luan was in a state of panic. It's over. Everything is over. Meng Tai on the other side is showing a cold smile, but Luan did not find Meng Tai grasping the sword palms, but has been wet with sweat. Meng Tai also tense in the middle. The group of dragons all lurched as the Fang's head was thrown out. The dragon race was forbidden to kill each other, and killing each other was to be relegated to the status of a sinful dragon. But now, Fangtooth was actually killed. Looking at Aoshan together, waiting for Aoshan's order in general. Steeply, a loud roar rang out from a remote hall not far away. Prince Aoshan, help! Aoshan's face changed. Luan's voice. Aoshan probed and lifted his hand. Rumble, the roof of the room not far away burst open, and instantly, the furious Meng Tai was seen inside, drawing his sword against Luan's throat. You seek death? Meng Tai's eyes glared. My grandfather is in danger. Mo Yika is a great Jin spy, setting up a trap in order to exterminate you, Luan steeply shrieked. Asshole! Meng Tai knocked Luan out with a slap. Holding Luan, his long sword was placed above Luan's neck and bridled. The group of dragons roared angrily. If you move, I'll kill him. Meng Tai's face was hideous. I shouldn't be the one to kill him. Aosheng's voice came from the Punching Heaven Palace. Aoshan and the group of dragons, however, were stagnant, their faces complex as they looked towards Luan, who was restrained by Meng Tai not far away. But, after all, they did not make a move. At least Luan could not die for the time being. But, what did Luan's earlier words mean? Below, Meng Tai restrained Luan, is also covered with a cold sweat. This is walking a tightrope. Fortunately, the group of dragons are not moving, as the Emperor predicted. Surfing the entrance of the temple, Guqin looked at the distant Luan, also secretly exhaled a sigh of relief. Luan's shout, originally not in the father's calculations, however, then the father ultimately wanted to add to the icing on the cake, so that the scheme is more perfect. Before finally finalizing the arrangement, pit a teammate with a piggyback. This is a risky move. Father's selection of Meng Tai was not a mistake after all. Mo Yike is a great Jin spy. Impossible. Sheng immediately said in a cold voice. Crown Prince, no, Mo Yike didn't stop you from bringing us here. Mo Yike's identity has always been a mystery. Mo Yike deliberately set a trap. Mo Yike and Sheng had a deal. That's the Emperor's grandson. There's no way he'd want to harm the Emperor. The group of dragons were in an uproar. In the distance, in the Royal Casino Resort, Sima Changkong looked at the scene in the distance with a deep frown. Mo Yike, it's one of His Majesty's people, deliberately setting up a trap, asking Sheng to ambush Sheng here. What an obvious reason. What an obvious fact. In this way, Sheng's presence here is much more legitimate. This dispels a lot of doubts. Unfortunately, I know best that Mo Yike could never be the sense man, otherwise, the king would have known long ago. But what if it was quietly arranged by His Holiness? A subordinate whispered. Sima Changkong frowned slightly. No, Gu Hai is telling a story. Several subordinates revealed a hint of doubt. Gu Hai is telling a story to the group of dragons. The purpose of the story is to prove that it is Sheng who is inside the Punching Heaven Palace. Sima Changkong's eyes narrowed slightly as he said, Isn't it Sheng inside the Punching Heaven Palace? A subordinate said blankly. Sima Changkong, however, gently shook his head. The story hasn't been told yet. Don't argue. A group of subordinates revealed a hint of puzzlement. The adult spoke in a cloudy manner. How could they not understand? Sheng looked at the Punching Palace with an ugly face for a while. Could it be that Mr. Mo is really a spy of the Great Jin? Is he really a spy of the Jin dynasty? Let Sheng set up a trap and wait for me here. If this is really the case, then it is terrible. The Great Ying dynasty is in danger. His own arrangements all these years have become a joke. Is it true? Was what Luan said true? Crown Prince, no matter what, Sheng should not have brought any troops with him when he came here. Perhaps we can kill him back and eradicate this rebel, a red dragon leader said in a cold voice. Sheng steeply narrowed his eyes slightly. Yeah, Brother Wong, this henchman of yours is really funny when he talks. Yeah, I'm just one person. I didn't bring anyone with me. Why don't one of you come in and take a look? Sheng's voice came out. The group of dragons slightly stalled. Boom, boom, boom. At this very moment, steeply, the four directions of the Sea of the 9-5 Islands suddenly appeared out of thin air with rolling heavenly phase dark clouds. The heavenly phase dark clouds appeared for a short while, and then abruptly disappeared. The dragons turned their heads to look. However, they saw a sea area in the distance, and from time to time, a huge dragon's tail emerged out of the water, and then instantly drilled into the seabed. The dragon could not be seen on the surface of the sea, but, yet, in a place where the sea water was not deep, a giant dragon could be vaguely seen swimming on the seabed in general. Only a dark shadow could be seen, however. It was already enough. It was definitely a giant dragon. Yes. Not one. There were 10 giant dragon black shadows swimming at the bottom of the sea. Not 10, but 100, 1,000, 10,000. All around the 9-5 Islands, there are dragons. Brother Wong, you and I are brothers after all. It's not good for this group of your subordinates to interrupt when you and I are talking. Sheng's voice came. The dragons that were still grimacing just now, but their faces stiffened, especially the red dragon leader that had just provoked and prepared to kill Sheng in return, opened his mouth and didn't know what to say for a half a day. At the same time, far away in the middle of the seabed. Grow some heart, don't make any more mistakes. A Zhuangwu counted to another Zhuangwu in the distance. Yes, Grandpa. That Zhuangwu returned an apology. On the other side, a tree man used a tree branch to grab the 5 stone dragons swimming at the bottom of the sea, frowning at a tree man on the other side. That giant dragon just now. Don't be polite to him. Yes, the tree people not far away answered. Casino Royal Resort. Sima Changkong wasn't standing high enough and didn't have a wide enough view. But he also instantly guessed what was going on, and steeply changed his face. I understand. I understand. Stone dragon, a borrowed corpse. I was almost confused. Huh, a subordinate at the side said in disbelief. Step 1. Arouse suspicion. Step 2. Confuse the mind. Step 3. Appearances. Gu Hai has told a good story. Sima Changkong frowned and sighed. My lord, are you saying that the group of stone dragons made a shun, and the others think that they were real dragons? A subordinate at the side said. Not bad. Gu Hai used 3 steps and told us 3 things. Sima Changkong exclaimed. What? The first step, to be suspicious, telling you that what your ears hear must always be true. The second step, messing with your heart. Even the things told to you by the people you should trust the most may not be true. Step 3, appearances. What you see with your own eyes may not be true either. Sima Changkong said in a deep voice. Not true. In the Punching Heaven Palace, it should be Sheng, right? A subordinate said blankly. Yes, my lord, I feel like it's Sheng inside. Another subordinate frowned. Sima Changkong ignored it, but listened to Sheng's voice once again coming from the distant Heaven Punching Hall. Brother Wong, do you still remember back then? I'm not the Crown Prince. You're not the Crown Prince. At that time, we, at least, did not have such a tit-for-tat now. At that time, you're the elder brother. I'm the younger brother. At that time, how good it should be or, alas, Sheng's voice came again. The 4th step, appeal. Just to prove that the one in the temple is Sheng. Gu Hai has laid out for so long, telling such a long story. Sima Changkong gazed into the distance. A group of his own subordinates were confused, not to mention the group of dragons in the sky. Elder brother. Ha ha, you still think of me as an elder brother. Shen's eyes glared with a wave of resentment. Back then can only be back then. What have you done for me? But it's not like I didn't do anything for you. Have you forgotten all that? Or do you only remember that part of you? Sheng's voice came again. But the words were not specific at all, completely requiring the other party to fill in their brains. This was the art of language. He didn't say anything, but you heard a lot of content. Back in the day, you remember back then you were bullied, and I chased that octopus demon for thousands of miles, and I was almost swallowed by the octopus demon, forcing me off the throne of the Crown Prince and taking my position. This is my good brother. You are still my good brother. Sheng growled with a scowl on his face. The group of dragons fell silent for a while. After a kindred conversation, it's true that pulling any shameless story will work. In the Punching Heaven Palace, it's Sheng. Hey, my lord, it was originally Sheng inside. A subordinate curiously said. Sima Changkong looked at the group of subordinates and sighed slightly. His own group of subordinates had been deceived, let alone the group of dragons in the sky.